Hi guys, Sophy Ridge of Sky News visited the town of Grimsby, which voted 70% in favour of Brexit back in 2016. She organised an audience who gave their opinions ahead of the local elections next week. One man named Patrick attacked the idea that the area was on its knees, claiming that the media were painting a very bad picture of the town. The owner of a fish smoker said that people were dumbing down the area. Instead, things were doing actually really well. The fishing industry is thriving, he said. Then he sort of pulled back. Have a listen to this.
Well, Sarah had a great point, but I don't necessarily agree. I think Grimsby is often dumbed down, and particularly by the media, who come with a narrative because they see this place and they want to agree with some sort of narrative, and the BBC are worse, by the way.
It's all right, don't worry. We're
no, they really are.
You can
Really are. But
say what you think.
People forget that we're the largest fish processing town in the Northern Hemisphere. We're supplying 70% of the UK's fish. And, you know, everybody comes here, and the BBC have done this to me, and they've said, well, of course, you've lost the fishing industry, and the place is derelict, and it's finished, and everything else. That's wrong, actually. If we were still fishing in Iceland, and we're not, but the Icelandics are, we wouldn't be bringing it all the way back to Grimsby to land it. We would land it in Iceland and bring it down on a large container vessel like we do today. We would then grade it here in Grimsby like we do today, and we would process it here in Grimsby. And all the major fish processing companies are thriving, they're successful, they're here. We have the only protected food name in all of Lincolnshire, and that's Grimsby traditional smoked fish. And, you know, that's worth shouting about. That's great. That's like Melton Mowbray pork pie and Cornish clotted cream. And we're a bit too keen to dumb ourselves down. We've got investors right now who are working on plans to renovate the docks, and I've seen drawings today, and I've spoken with that developer, and it's very, very exciting. We've got film industry people. I've had a meeting this week with a 40 Institute of Heritage organisation, whatever they're called, and they're all very excited about some of the plans that's going on in Grimsby. It's not absolutely down on its knees, and if it were, that's not a bad place to be, because the best place to push away from is something solid, and that might be the bottom. But tomorrow, come back, and it's not all bad, okay? It's not all bad.
Okay, it's not all bad. So it started from it's thriving to, well, it's not on its knees, to, well, it's not all that bad. Now, a few things he also mentioned here at the very, very beginning. He mentioned about how the media has a narrative. Is it the narrative that you voted for Brexit and now you're suffering the consequences of Brexit? Now, I don't know if this guy is a Tory councillor or if he's a Tory plant or he's just a member of the Conservative Party or whatever. But he's saying a lot of things that don't make a lot of sense. Now, he also mentioned how, well, you know, we used to catch the fish in Iceland. Instead, what's happening is the Icelandics are bringing the fish to us. Well, then that means British fishermen have lost out. How is that an advantage? And then finally, of course, he's saying about how things are thriving. And then, well, yeah, maybe it's not so great after all, but it's not terrible. Well, this is what the media say about it. The mainstream media says how Brexit failed England's premier fishing town. This is from Bloomberg. This is from a French website. It says gripes in Grimsby over Brexit fishing failure from 2023. The BBC, Grimsby fishermen remember the glory days. How do they see the future? And finally, the London Economic says a story of 4 parts. Grimsby seafood factory blames Brexit as it's forced to close to shut. So I don't know. I'm not in Grimsby. I'm not a member of the fishing industry. But on the surface, it seems that Brexit has not helped the fishing industry in Grimsby. He's saying everything is fine, everything's thriving. But even if we're at the very bottom, that's a good place to be, because the only way is up. That's not a very positive view for the future. That's not a very encouraging view for young people, telling them, don't worry, things can't get any worse than this. It can only get better. Well, the problem with Brexit is it hasn't been fully implemented yet. So as more and more Brexit is implemented, it seems it's just going to feel much, much worse. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.